We have quite a few attendees today, so that's very pleasing to see. We will be discussing the EIC Work Programme 2026. We are in a fortunate position right now when we can discuss months in advance what to expect from the 26 work program, which has not yet been officially released. So take the information here with a grain of salt, because we still are awaiting the official publication. But what we have to share is very exciting news regarding several of the EIC tracks, including new ones, which we think will be, for at least a lot of you, quite interesting to experience. So what we're going to do for today, first we're going to review very quickly the strategic goals of the European Innovation Council. Then we'll look at the flagship tracks of the European Innovation Council, EIC for short. We'll take a deeper dive into the expected changes to the EIC Accelerator track, which we know is very relevant to a lot of you. Then we'll shortly discuss a new and exciting track that's going to be launched in 26. We'll also have a look at the EIC STEP program, which is now going to be extended into its second year after a pilot year. And we'll conclude by looking at EIC prizes, and we'll give a bit of information towards the end about Argentum consultants and how we work. So to anyone who missed the intro, once again, good morning to you all, and there's quite a lot of you, very exciting to see. I'm Ben, I'm a strategist here at Argentum Consultants, have been with Argentum for close to 4 years now. My background is in academia, and it's a pleasure to be with you all today. So without further ado, let's get started with a closer look the EIC, European Innovation Council, strategic goals. I haven't said it, but the webinar today will be about 35 minutes, so thank you for your time. So the first slide here just gives an overview of the 6 strategic goals of the European Innovation Council, which you can see in front of you. I'm not going to go into a lot of details regarding this, but what you can see by the strategic goals is that European Innovation Council, EIC, is meant to support both innovation from single applicants and from consortia, from independent SMEs to larger industry and academia players, and to address very, very significant challenges that the EU and Europe, because it's also associated countries, are facing. So what the EIC basically wants is to become the investor of choice for cross-European visionaries, to find and support the next European unicorns, to take significant risks in funding those unicorns and those additional companies and projects that the EIC across its different tracks is looking to support and to fund, and in the end of the day to position Europe or the European ecosystem as a whole as one that can compete with other leading innovators globally, and to achieve all this through operational excellence. The way the European Innovation Council is attempting to do this, and has been throughout the past years, is via different tracks, each of which is aimed at different goals. And a question I get asked a lot as a strategist at Argentum is, which track is right for me, for you, as different companies, different entities at different development stages, which we will address shortly. So let's have a look at the European Innovation Council tracks. These are the main ones. Now, the top 3 are the flagship tracks. These have been around for a while, and you probably are familiar with them, at least by name. We've got the EIC Pathfinder, Transition, and Accelerator. The next slide will look specifically at these 3 tracks. Now, below them, we've got different tracks. The European Innovation Council STEP scale-up track, which has been launched in 2025. That was the pilot year, and we are happy to see now that it is extended into 2026, and we hope onwards. We've got European Innovation Council prizes, and you can see at the bottom right of the screen the EIC Advanced Innovation Challenges, a completely new track, which we will discuss in an upcoming slide. Now, as we can already see here, there's a lot on offer from the EIC. And as I said, one question I personally get quite a lot from the companies and entities we work with is, Ben, what is the right track for me? Now, the simple answer is there's not necessarily just one track. You could be relevant to quite a few tracks. If, for instance, you are a woman-led company, you will be relevant for the EIC Prize for Women Innovators. If you are very early stage and have ties with academia or interested to do research-centric projects, you could be also relevant for the Pathfinder. If, which happens to be the case for a lot of you, you are a startup or an SME that is interested in submitting a application by yourself as a single applicant and are already at around prototype stage or above, then the EIC Accelerator could be a good fit for you. And one question I get in regards to this, can I go for multiple tracks? The short answer is you can. It depends on your capacity, on your interest, whether you've got multiple projects that you want to work with. And that's actually part of Argentum's approach to support a multi approach to grant and to funding, in which we encourage you to go for several funding opportunities along a specific time frame. So the cat, the naughty cat, who's my cat, by the way, at the bottom of the screen is looking at various ice cream flavors, debating which one to go for. And our answer is go for as many as you can if they suit your capacity, your funding needs, and your interest. Now we're going to break down the flagship tracks, and then we'll move on to discuss the newer tracks. I can already see there's a few comments in the chat. So just to say that our marketing team will look at the comments and will, if needed, address them to me later so that we can get back to you. Thank you for your time and attention. Now, moving on, and this is a bit of a cramped slide because there's a lot of information. I try not to put too much information on screen, but it is quite necessary. The EIC flagship tracks, the three that you might be more familiar with, Pathfinder, Transition, and Accelerator, have a very clear rationale behind them. You start, or the program starts with Pathfinder, which is for the earlier stage results, and at the upper end of the spectrum is Accelerator for much more advanced projects. Now, we just broke down each of these to 4 categories: who, what, when, and why. Who is the track for? What do you get in terms of funding? A question which is evidently most interesting for all of us. When can you submit a proposal and when it will be evaluated? And why should you go for each of these tracks? So let's start with Pathfinder. Pathfinder is more research-centric. This is a track for projects starting at ideation and culminating at TRL technology readiness for just over proof of concept or lab validation for TRL 4. This is for small consortia. There is an option for single applicants via the EIC Pathfinder challenges, the top-down challenges, which take place once a year. I'll address that a bit later because we don't have at the moment information about the 26 challenges. They are not included in the initial draft that we have. One very significant and very positive change that we are glad to announce here is that according to the latest draft, the EIC Pathfinder budget for the open and the challenge tracks for 2026 is going to see a 50% increase from previous years. So the budget per project from 26 is going to be 4.5 million euros at 100% funding rate. This is fantastic news for those of you who are interested in engaging as we mentioned, more research-centric project. Now, for Pathfinder, there's one deadline per year for the open track, which is bottom-up, any technology, any sector. This will be, as planned now, 6th of May 2026, which means that you have an optimal timeline now to plan ahead for a small consortium, 3 or more partners that you want to go with for such a project. For the challenges track, which we, again, don't know yet what the challenges will be for 26, the deadline is much later, late October 26, so there's still over a year until that deadline. And once we know what the challenges will be, we can advise you whether there's a good fit for you. And ending with why. Why should you go for Pathfinder? Well, if you've got breakthrough technology and you earlier stage project. And if you want to work with a limited number of partners for the open track or are capable of doing this by yourself, then Pathfinder could be a very good fit for you. Now, what if you do have very innovative technology, but you would rather base your project on a former project that's already concluded and succeeded? In between Pathfinder and Accelerator, we have the unique EIC transition track. This is smack in the middle, technology readiness 4 to 6, so technology just before market readiness. And this is aimed at small consortia, basically for SMEs and startups and academia. You can notice that larger industry is less relevant for transition, but can participate in Pathfinder. Now, for transition projects, there's a budget of 2.5 million euros per project and one deadline per year. This year, or 26, is going to be the 16th of September, and it's an open track. Now, why should you go for this? EIC transition is very, very interesting. What the EIC is allowing you to do here is basically to formulate your own project based on a previously successful EIC Pathfinder or ERC, or specific Horizon Europe projects, typically those that are RIA, research innovation actions, meaning that they are earlier stage projects. So what you do, you don't have to have been part of the initial project that was successful. Rather, you can apply to approach the coordinator of that project, again, Pathfinder or even some Horizon Europe projects, and let them know that you are interested in a continuation project in which they or the previous consortium members, if it was a collaborative project, don't even need to take part. Now, transition, because it's so unique, offers you very, very specific opportunities here to build on previous projects and insert your own innovation and make the most out of it. One deadline per year, as we mentioned. Now it's changed a couple of years ago, and it's only an open track, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to choose what is the optimal project you might like to engage. Moving on to the right side of the screen, EIC Accelerator. This is the track that most of you are familiar or have heard of. Accelerator is a track for more advanced technology readiness levels, starting at TRL 5 or 6 prototype or upwards, and aiming at technology to market adoption close to commercialization or full commercialization. Accelerator is aimed only at single SME applicants. Mid-caps up to 499 employees are eligible in certain cases. Now, what you get is very simple. For Accelerator, you get a grant component of 2.5 million euros. The grant component is 70% of your EIC Accelerator project, meaning that the total budget of the project side is just under 3.5 million euros. Now you have the option to go for an equity investment from the EIC fund of minimum 500,000 and maximum 10 million euros. Now, the EIC is flexible. You can choose whether you want to go for an blended finance track, meaning the grant or the investment, or a different formulation. Now, the question of when is one that I'll address in the next slide, because here is where the major changes in the EIC Work Programme are taking place, and this is really exciting to share. So we'll save when for the next slide, and we'll just touch upon the why. And the why is very important, because why you should go for EIC Accelerator or evaluating if you are a good fit. If you are a single SME, if you have innovative technology, if you have a product or service that are already at prototype stage, the equivalent of TRL 5, and you want to go for a project that will bring you towards market readiness / commercialization, then you can go for EIC Accelerator. It's unlike the other tracks in the sense that it's for single applicants alone. It does have a different funding model than Pathfinder and Transition, because it does allow you to go also for much larger budgets with the investment component. And like the other tracks here, it is also open to any technology and sector. So again, you have complete control over your project. Like Pathfinder, EIC Accelerator has open and challenge tracks. And as I mentioned earlier, for the challenge tracks, the 2026 challenges will be published separately once the official work program is launched. We estimate that to be around late November. Now, just a quick word before we turn to look at the accelerator terms for 26 onwards. Some of you might have been familiar with the pre-accelerator, which was a new program launched in 2025. That was only for widening countries, namely Southern and Eastern European countries. Now, please note, the pre-accelerator program will continue, but the next deadline will be in 2027, and it will be double that of 25. The close deadline in November is still reachable. So that was just a quick word about pre-accelerator, and let's move now to look at the very significant and positive changes to EIC Accelerator expected in the 2026 work program. So the draft that we have has highlighted some very, very interesting changes that are going to take place, and let's review them now quickly. First of all, the number of deadlines for the full proposal stage is going to triple from 2 cutoffs to 6, meaning that every other month starting early January, there will be a cutoff for the EIC Accelerator full proposal stage. Now, this leads us into the second category here, the proposal itself. Reminder, I'm sure most of you know, but it's good to just refresh our memory. EIC Accelerator is comprised of 2 written proposals and an interview stage. Now, the last few years, there was a short proposal, step 1, and a long proposal, the full proposal, which in the past couple of years was around 50 pages. What the EIC Accelerator track is expected to do in 26 is to overhaul this in a way that we feel will benefit you quite a bit. So the full proposal stage 2, is going to be significantly simplified and shortened. Not only that, it will be based largely on the short proposal stage, meaning that once you finish the short proposal, you will already have at least significant sections of the full proposal stage prepared, or at least a framework to work on towards the full proposal. This is a very significant change, and coupled with the tripling of the deadline for the full proposal stage, gives you a lot more flexibility to plan your way towards an EIC Accelerator proposal. Now, the same conditions that applied in last year's still apply, meaning that you can submit for any of these stages. Once you get a go for the full proposal, you can submit to that stage, and you can get rejected up to 3 times, meaning that if you submitted for the short proposal and got 3 goes out of 4 at least and advanced to the full proposal stage, then you will have 3 attempts to succeed at the full proposal and the interview in total. Which brings us to the last point here, the jury panel interview, which is the last stage. This is not a written stage. This is an interview either directly at the EIC or remote. And here, another very positive change is that unlike previous years, the EIC will only invite up to 2.5 times the available budget to the interview, meaning that if in previous years the number of applicants that were invited to the interview was significantly higher, now, or starting 26, there will be a much lower number compared to previous years, meaning that your chances of success in the interview stage are therefore quite increased. And also just a note for those who want to take this into account, the technical due diligence that was part of the jury panel stage will now be included in the step 2 proposal, meaning that you will have 1 task, again, that's not going to be in the interview stage, so that's easier all around. Now, what do we make of these changes in general? My perspective as a strategist, and I work a lot with companies that work on EIC Accelerator projects, is that taking all this together, I see this as a very good time for you to be applying for EIC Accelerator. If you've not applied in the past, or if you have applied and want to try again and are eligible to go for a new proposal or a new step 2, so be advised, 2026 is very much the year to go for this. There will be more deadlines, there will be more flexibility with the proposal, the interview will be probably more accessible. So all in all, we see this as a very positive change, and we very much hope to see you engaging an EIC proposal for 2026. Moving on, let's have a look at EIC STEP Scale Up for 2026. Now, Scale Up started in 2025, that was the pilot year, and building on the success of this pilot year, it will continue in 2026. Now, STEP is unlike EIC Accelerator in the sense that STEP is only for investments. Now, we divided this slide again into 4 components: scope, who should apply, budget, and process. Let's review them very quickly, starting with the scope. So the STEP program, or the STEP track, is generally open to most sectors, but has priority sectors, 3 priority sectors actually: digital and deep tech, clean tech, and biotechnologies. Now, if you look at these 3 priority sectors, you can already see that they cover essentially the majority of the strategic innovation sectors or goals of the EIC in general. Meaning that in most cases, if you fit into one of these at least, you do have a good fit with EIC track, or could fit if you do fit the other categories. Let's move on to who should apply. EIC STEP, like Accelerator, is open to single applicants. They can be SMEs or even mid-cap up to 199 full-time employees. Now, applicants should be at business readiness level 8, meaning that it's not just your technology readiness level, it's also your business readiness level that is taken into account in evaluating eligibility for the EIC STEP Scale-Up track. Moving on to the budget, this is where it gets really interesting. EIC STEP is an investment program. The EIC is going to invest between 10 and 30 million euros in you. Now, this will be part of a much larger total investment round of 50 to 150 million euros. So a question I get asked quite often about this is, Ben, if I want to go for an investment round of 10 million euros, can I go for STEP? The answer is 10 million euros is a bit low. If you want to go for a larger investment round starting at 50 million, then you can bring the EIC on board as an investor and benefit from additional funding here. Now, in order to be eligible to apply, you need to have a pre-commitment from a qualified investor, private investor, that covers at least 20% of the entire round. So if you want to go for, let's say, a total investment round of 100 million, you need a pre-commitment for 20 million, and then you can get from the EIC, again, between 10 to 30 million euros. Now, the process is actually very simple. Since, again, 25 was the pilot year, 26 it will be more streamlined. There will be 1 cutoff each quarter, starting early mid-February. The proposal is a written proposal. It's about 50 pages, and there's additional annexes and documents. Following a positive evaluation, you will be invited to an interview. Now, I get asked sometimes whether a certain company can do Accelerator and EIC STEP at the same time. The answer is that it's probably not going to be the best fit simultaneously, because if you're going to go for a large investment round, the question is, what type of investment can you get from EIC Accelerator, or why should you? But the question nonetheless is how to evaluate which track is the right for you. And this brings us now actually to a very brief look at Argentum's strategy process. Now, as a strategist, this is what I do with the companies we work with. We try to understand what's the best process for them. So we start with an initiation process. We meet, we discuss, I as a strategist or an analyst, try to understand what your goals are. And then we set the first targets by looking at which funding opportunities are most suited to your R&D expertise. Then we move on to an evaluation where your team will look at the suggestions we've made, and we start to put a process into motion. You pick the proposals you want to go for. Let's say you wanted to go now for Accelerator, and a year later to start a step process. We plan in advance. And once in motion, we have an ongoing process where the consulting department at Argentum will work with you on a given proposal, and your strategist or analyst will continue looking at additional funding opportunities for you. Moving on, going back to the EIC program for 26, we have a completely new track that is going to be launched. This is the EIC Advanced Innovation Challenges. Now, I do have to be quite clear here. We don't know yet what the challenges will be because they were not included in the draft so far. What we do know, and this is what makes it exciting, this is going to be a 2-year program. The first stage in 26 is going to be a proof of concept, and the second stage in 27 is going to be for prototyping and testing. All in all, this can net you 2.8 million euros. Now, EIC Advanced Innovation Challenges, and again, 26-27 will be the pilot years for this. It's going to be focusing on advanced innovation challenges, treating top-down challenges, focusing on high-risk deep tech innovation with transformative potential. We've not seen the challenges yet, but I think it's quite safe to expect that there will be one challenge at least, focusing on each of the major clusters of Horizon Europe, which inform the EIC goals. So we can expect a challenge for health, we can expect a challenge for climate and energy, we can expect a challenge for digital, maybe a challenge for space. And once you identify a challenge that's relevant for you, then you can start working either by yourself as a single SME or with a very small consortium, 2 to 3 partners, and benefit from a longer process, which allows you to experiment here, starting with the short proposal stage, the prototype, skip one slide, the proof of concept for April 26, and leading on to the full proposal and full project stage, which we will submit in 2027. Now, this is again a very new track. There's a question whether it will be more beneficial for you to go for EIC Advanced Innovation Challenges and to EIC Accelerator. And I think the simple answer will be, once you see what the challenges are, you can then evaluate whether a challenge fits you directly, that's A, and B, whether you stand to profit for a longer process that spreads over effectively 3 years here, or do you want to go directly for a shorter one and start with an EIC Accelerator proposal? One benefit here could also be if you want to engage Pathfinder, but would like also to go for a more advanced proposal or more advanced project, then just look here that EIC Advanced Innovation Challenges actually can bridge that. You can start with low TRL and continue to a more advanced project. So this could be a very good opportunity if it fits your needs. Now, before we close for today, very quick look at the prizes that the EIC offers. Now, on the left side, we've got European Prize for Women Innovators. This is only relevant if you have a woman founder or co-founder who's in a leading position in your company. If it is, then this is a prize you should go for. It has 2 tracks from the EIC and one from the EIT, European Institute of Innovation and Technology. All in all, it has 9 prizes across 3 tracks. This is an annual competition or prize, and the 2026 deadline is expected in Q3 or 4 2026. On the right side, we've got a very different and interesting prize. This is the European Capital of Innovation Awards, Capital. And this is actually for cities. So I'm not going to elaborate about this, but if you are working with cities or if you are from a municipality, this could be a great opportunity for you. And please note, the prizes for 2026 been greatly increased. It will be €1 million for one track and €500,000 for another. But since that's less probably relevant to most of you, we'll skip this for now. And just before we close, a word about us, what we do at our Gym. Very simply, we get you funded. We've been around since 1999, and we implement a multi-submission approach. The sole design of which is to get you to maximize your chances of success by applying for multiple funding opportunities. We are familiar and working with around 300 funding directions, and we work on an annual or longer basis. We create, as a strategist and my colleagues, create a tailored submission plan for you that best suits your needs. So thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure being with you today and discussing the upcoming EIC Work Programme for 2026. We would love to hear from you. Our marketing director and team would be very glad to hear from you, and we'll be in contact shortly. So thank you all for your time. Great day.